Even though they call it the news, most of it ends up just being noise and static. Well, here we're trying to find the signal. Welcome to Strange Frequency. Good evening. You're tuned into Strange Frequency on channel 84.5. I'm your host, Caesar. Let's see what came across the wire tonight. First story comes from The Anomalist, and this is really more of a roundup than a single article. Several former service members are describing unusual encounters tied to military installations. One former missile guard claims he woke up in what he believed to be an unidentified aircraft. Others describe objects hovering over bases, tracked but never identified. Same pattern, personnel, restricted areas, and no explanation offered. The article also touches on something different: parapsychology research. A scientist discussing so-called psi phenomena, things like mind-matter interaction. Still controversial, still debated, still treated as fringe by a lot of the mainstream science. And then a historical case from the 1960s. A laughter epidemic in Tanzania, entire schools affected. No virus, no clear biological cause. Eventually labeled mass psychogenic illness, stress-spreading behavior instead of a disease. Different stories, same category. Events that don't sit neatly in a report. Now, here's what stands out. Military encounters keep popping up, not just civilians, trained observers, radio operators, pilots, security personnel. And whether every detail is accurate or not, the pattern stays consistent. Something shows up, nobody can name it, and it gets filed away unresolved. That's interesting because around military sites, especially sensitive ones, everything is normally labeled. Everything has a procedure, everything has a paper trail. When something doesn't, it tends to stick out. Same with the psi research. Not proof of anything, but the fact that serious researchers even entertain the discussion tells you the cultural conversation has shifted in recent years. 20 years ago, that wouldn't even made it past the door. And the Tanzania case is a reminder that not every strange incident has an exotic answer to it. Sometimes it's psychological, sometimes environmental, sometimes social contagion, and sometimes nobody really knows. Those are the gray areas, and that's where the signal is. Stay tuned. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Our next article comes from Hedge, and this is going to be citing Department of Defense footage. According to the article, military platforms tracked a disc-shaped, unidentified aerial phenomenon during operations. The object was recorded across multiple systems: radar, optical tracking, and infrared imagery. Reportedly, it was moving in ways that don't match conventional aircraft profiles. The Pentagon acknowledged the footage, but offered no explanation further to what the object was or where it came from, simply stating it's unidentified. Now here's what we know. Multi-sensor confirmation matters. It's harder to dismiss something when several independent systems detect the same object over the same time. Doesn't mean we know what it is. Doesn't mean the government's lying. Doesn't mean it's aliens. Doesn't even mean that it's advanced tech. It simply means something was there and it didn't match what the system expected to see. And historically, these kind of reports used to get buried or written off immediately. Now they're being cataloged, referenced publicly, and in some cases released. That shift from denial to documentation is what makes this worth tracking. Whatever these objects are, The way institutions talk about them is changing, and that change is the signal. Stay tuned. One more short break. Last one tonight comes from unexplainedmysteries.com. A piece discussing how ancient descriptions of angels or visions might be interpreted today as unidentified aerial encounters. The argument is simple. People in the past described what they saw using the language that they had at the time. Religious terms, symbolic language, cultural frameworks. And modern readers sometimes reinterpret those same accounts through a technological lens instead. Same report, different vocabulary. And this is what happens when we look back. Every era explains the unknown using its own framework. In one century, it's spirits. In the next century, it becomes omens. In the 20th century, it was flying saucers. Now it's drones or experimental tech. The phenomenon might stay the same, the story we tell about it changes. That doesn't confirm anything specific, but it does show something consistent. Humans don't like unanswered questions. We fill in the gaps with whatever language we have at the time. And sometimes the explanation tells you more about the observer than it does the sky. Welcome back, and that concludes tonight's broadcast. Links to all the articles used will be in the description below. And as always, if you've seen anything strange or unexplained, feel free to reach out in the comments or by email. Until next time, we'll keep listening for the signal.